Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udiraye nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata-sevayā bhagavati uttama-shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Vede Ramayane Chaiva Purane Bharate Tatha Adhavante Cha Madhye Cha Hari Sarvatra Giyate Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatripātamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Śrī Caitanya Ishvaram Dharma prochita kaitavo atra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vidyam vastam atra vastu shivadam tapatrayona moolanam Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Mahamuni krite kimva paraishvara sadhyo hridaya avrudhyate atra kritibhi sushrubhistatshana Nigamakalpatarurgalitam phalam Shukhamukadamritam drava samyutam Pibat bhagavatam rasam alayam Muhur aho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear worshipable devotees, thank you for joining. We are reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 16, Lord Sri Paras'urâma destroys the ruling class. So, we were read till text number 23 yesterday, or 24, sorry. 24 we read yesterday about how Jamdagni was killed by Kartavirya Arjuna, and then Paras'urâma got angry, he killed the sons of Kartavirya Arjuna, and then finally he revived Jamdagni back to life, and then he became one of the 7 sages, Saptarishis, as we discussed the Saptarishi Mandal. So let's move on to the next verse, text number 25. Jamdagnyopi Bhagavan Rama Kamalalochanaha Agamanyantari Rajan Vartayishyati Vai Brihat. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. My dear King Parikshit, in the next Manvantara, the lotus-eyed personality of Godhead, Lord Paras'urâma, the son of Jamdagni, will be the great propounder of Vedic knowledge. In other words, he will be one of the 7 sages. Hare Kṛṣṇa. So, quite straightforward here. Next Manvantara is referring to which Manvantara? Anyone? Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Which one they're referring to? Let's Lakshay Prabhu.
The 10th one?
No, next would be 8th, right? So this is the 7th. This conversation is happening in the 7th one, but good try. The next would be 8th. So right now, Jamdagni is one of the 7 sages. And then later, that means in the next Manvantara, that's the 8th Manvantara, Paras'urâma will become one of the 7 sages. Okay, so let's read the next verse, text number 26. Actually, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Aste adyapi mahendradrav nyasta danda prashantade upagiya mana karita siddha gandharva suddenly. Translation. Lord Paras'urâma still lives as an intelligent Brahmana in the mountainous country known as Mahendra. Completely satisfied, having given up the weapons of a Kshatriya, he is always worshipped, adored, and offered praise for his exalted character and activities by such celestial beings as the Siddhas, Kalanas, and Gandharvas. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So in the Mahendra mountains, basically, Lord Paras'urâma is still living, like his father is living in the Saptarishi Mandal. And in the next Manvantara, so as we see, these great personalities are beyond the Manvantaras. They have a very long lifespan and they have a long mission. But it's not that we can access them. Ordinary beings cannot access them, right? An ordinary being cannot even access the so-called prime minister of the country, what to speak of these extraordinary personalities. As we also know that we can't even access the portions of the material world, what to speak of material world, even the Bhumandala we cannot access completely. We can only access very tiny portion of Bhumandala actually. So, which is actually one of the layers of material world out of the 14 layers. And that has further divided into the 7 oceans. Jambudvip is one, the 7 islands. Jambudvip has 9 divisions. Bharatvarsha is one of them. Bharatvarsha has 9 khandas. Bharat Khanda is one of them. And then we only access Bharat Khanda actually. So we should not be surprised that why we can't see Paras'urâma. Because our eyes are limited, our capacities are limited, our bhakti is limited. So let's see the next verse, 27. Yes, Raghu Prabhu, you want to read?
Yes. Hare Krishna devotees. Text 27. Evam Brugushu Vishvatma Bhagavan Haririshvaraha Avitrya Param Bharam Bhuoham Hanbhuso Napan. Translation by His Divine Grace, S.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. In this way, the Supreme Soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord and the Supreme Controller, descended as an incarnation in the Bhrigu dynasty and released the universe from the burden of undesirable kings by killing them many times. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, back to you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Keshavadhrita Bhrigupati Rupa Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare. So he descended in the Bhrigu dynasty. We discussed that. And we also discussed Tri Saptabhi. He killed 21 generations, not 21 people, 21 generations of Kshatriyas. Millions and millions of people. Pools, not pools, rivers of blood. The land became red by the blood of the Kshatriyas. And we discussed the Samanta Panchak, Kurukshetra, Bhumi. The soil is still red actually. If you go to Kurukshetra, the soil is still red because of the blood of the Kshatriya kings. And then later Mahabharata also happened there. Okay, so let's read 28, text number 28. Yes, Sudhir Prabhu, you want to read?
Sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna devotees, Dandat Pranam, or prostration Prabhupada. Text number 28. Gader abham mahateja samidda eva pavakaha tapasa kshetram utsrichya yo lebhya brahma varchasam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vishvamitra, the son of Maharaj Gadi, was so powerful as the flames of fire. From the position of a Kshatriya, he achieved the position of a powerful Brahmana by undergoing penances and austerities. Perfect. Now, having narrated the history of Lord Paras'urâma, Sukadeva Goswami begins the history of Vishvamitra. From the history of Paras'urâma, we can understand that although Paras'urâma belonged to a Brahmanical group, he circumstantially had to work as a Kshatriya. Later, after finishing his work as a Kshatriya, he again became a Brahmana and returned to Mahendra Parvata. Similarly, we can see, although Vishvamitra was born in a Kshatriya family, by austerities and penances, he achieved the position of a Brahmana. These histories confirm the statements of Shastra that the Brahmana may become a Kshatriya may become a Brahmana or Vaishya, and a Vaishya may become a Brahmana by achieving the required qualities. One's status does not depend upon the birth, as confirmed in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 7th Canto, 11th chapter, 35th verse by Narada. Yasyāya lakshanam proktam pumso varnabhivyakna jakam yad anya trapi drasyayata tat tenaivyava vinirse. If one shows the symptoms of being a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra, even if he has appeared in a different class, he should be accepted according to the symptoms of classification. To know who is a Brahmana and who is a Kshatriya, one should consider a man's quality and work. If all the unqualified Shudras become the so-called Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, social order will be impossible to maintain. Thus, there will be discrepancies. Human society will turn into a society of animals, and the situation all over the world will be hellish. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Prabhuji, and the Pranam. Wonderful verse here. Srila Prabhupada clearly guiding us how, it doesn't matter if you're born a Brahmana or a Kshatriya. It is rather based on your qualities that you become a Brahmana or Kshatriya. So Prabhupada is telling that a Brahmana can become a Kshatriya, Kshatriya become a Vaishya, or a Brahmana or Vaishya also can become a Kshatriya or a Brahmana based on their quality of work. And Prabhupada also mentioning that if all the qualified Shudras cannot become Brahmana in this day and age, they are giving based on the birth, like a Shudra, but so-called reservations or whatever, right? So it's not that. Srila Prabhupada has made all the hippies into happies. A world-class Brahmanas, they are able to perform all the sacrificial ceremonies. So in this way, we can know that easily by following the regulative principles, one can easily become Brahmana, and also in fact a Vaishnava. Vaishnava is considered as more than a Brahmana. That's my understanding. Please, Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It's a very detailed emphasis on there that Chaturvarnamaya Srishtam Guna Karma. Guna and Karma. Guna means quality, Karma means work. As Prabhupada is mentioning here, it's based on qualities and the activities or work, not based on birth, not based on the color of skin. And therefore, we see in ISKCON movement, Prabhupada gave Brahmana initiation to white bodies, black bodies, yellow bodies, and even females, which was actually like the first time in the history of that this is not based on guna, or sorry, this is not based on birth, but rather based on guna and karma. Some Indian people didn't like this all, and they had some objections. But there are always objections on the, even people didn't, there were people who didn't like Krishna, right? Like Pondraka, who were imitating Krishna. So the point here is it's based on guna and karma. And Prabhupada said, actually, we have opened this international society for Krishna consciousness to make everyone Brahmanas. To make everyone Brahmanas, that means to make everyone a devotee of God. It's the main purpose. Krishna conscious. Brahma janiti iti Brahmana. A classic story is shared in this regard. One time in a Gurukul, the teacher asked the student, "Who is your father?" The child didn't know. He said, "Go and ask your mother." And the child went to the mother, and the mother actually was not very chaste lady, and she had multiple relationships. So she didn't give a proper answer. So the child went to the guru. Now to tell that I don't know my father, or my mother doesn't know who is my father, is a very kind of shameful act. But he told it. He was honest. He said that my mother didn't give an answer, so I don't know who is my father. He said, forget about it. You are a Brahmana. You're not a Shudra, because you have this quality of truthfulness. So again, you see the quality is given emphasis, not the birth here. But in India, so Brahmana is not by 25 paisa or 25 cents thread. A Brahmana is not by birth. A Brahmana is not by their surname. A lot of people who have surname as Dubey, Pandey, Trivedi, Chaturvedi, etc. Actually, they were all meant, you understand, Dubey, Trivedi, Chaturvedi, Pandey. All these are actually connected to Vedas. You see, one who's knower of three Vedas, Trivedi, Dvivedi. One knows two Vedas, Chaturvedi. All these are surnames in India. Very connected to spiritual, but nowadays it's just a surname. They may not even know the names of the two Vedas, what to speak of what is inside the two Vedas. So, but the point is, again, guna, karma. So, Vishvamitra Muni, we all have read this story because of the exchange of the what was that called? Charu, yeah. Extent of the Charu, this whole thing happened. Paras'urâma got the qualities of Kshatriya, and Vishvamitra got the qualities of a Brahmana, although born in other families. So let's read the next verse, 29. Prabir Prabhu, you want to read?
Yes, Hare Kṛṣṇa Prabhu, Hare Kṛṣṇa devotees, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Śrīla Prabhupada. Text 29. Vishvamitrasya cha eva asam putra eka satam nripa madhyama tu madhuchandascha evate. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. O King Parikshit, Vishvamitra had 101 sons, of whom the middle one was known as Madhuchanda. In relation to him, all the other sons were celebrated as the Madhuchandas. Purport. In this connection, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes this statement from the Vedas. Tasyaha Vishvamitrasya satam putra आशु पंचशद एव जयांश मधु छंदस पंचशद कन्या अंश. Vishvamitra had 101 sons. 50 were older than Madhuchanda and 50 younger. Hare Kṛṣṇa Prabhu, back to you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu. It's quite straightforward. One, if you divide 100 into 2 parts, it's 50. And the extra one, Madhuchanda, who was right in the middle. So 50 were elder, and 50 were younger to Madhuchanda. Madhuchanda Saha Panchashad Shatam is basically 100. Okay, let's read the next verse, text number 30. Oh, today one very special devotee has joined us. Rakesh Prabhu. Thank you for your kind association. You want to read, Prabhu? I'm blessed to have you. Are you driving or traveling? Okay, maybe he's driving. Aswati Mataji, you want to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam everyone. Text 30. Putram kritva sunaha sefam devaratam cha bhargavam ajigatam sutan aha jaishtha esha prakalpyatam. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Vishvamitra accepted the son of Ajigartha, known as Sunaha Sefa, who was born in the Vrigu dynasty and was also known as Devarata, as one of his own sons. Vishvamitra ordered his other sons to accept Sunaha Sefa as their eldest brother. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, back to you.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Mataji. Actually, all these names, if you remember, we read earlier. Anyone remembers where we read? Vishvamitra, Jigrata, etc. Who remembers?
I think in Canto 7, Shunashepa was mentioned, and I don't remember about Aji, maybe Ajigartam too. There was a verse in which the word was used, Shunashepa, to remind us about this pastime. But that's all I remember.
Yes, it was certainly in the story of Prahlad Maharaj. Somewhere Shunashepa is mentioned, but in here, if you remember, in the story of Harishchandra, it also was mentioned about the story of Sri Harishchandra. He was the, maybe let's quickly go back.
He was the boy who was sacrificed in the fire instead of the other person who kept on hiding in the forest. And at the right time, after 5-6 years, the demigod said, "Okay, you can go back now." And then he found Shunashepa and he was sacrificed instead of Maharaja, his son, instead of his son who had promised, promised in the sleep, actually, Harishchandra. Back to you.
Yes, that's the story of Harishchandra and Ajigrata and Shunashepa. Okay, it's in the chapter 7. King Indra, being very pleased with Harishchandra, offered him a gift of golden chariot. Shunishepa's glories will be presented along with the description of the son of Vishvamitra. So that's actually coming now. The great Vishvamitra saw Maharaj Harishchandra along with his wife. Thus he gave them the imperishable boon. So if you go back to 7.23, Canto 9, so Shukdev Goswami is mentioning Shunishepa's glories will be mentioned. And then when Rohita returned to the capital, he purchased from Ajigrata his second son named Shunishepa. And then he offered Shunishepa to his father, Harishchandra, to be used as a sacrificial animal, and offered Harishchandra his respectful obeisance. So Ajigrata was the father here. As we see, Vishvamitra accepted the son of Ajigrata. So interestingly, it may appear in that chapter, chapter 7, text number 20, that he offered as an offering. An offering that doesn't mean that he killed it, but rather we see here that he accepted Shunishepa as their elder brother. Basically, he offered as a child, he accepted as a child, not as a object to be killed. So I think someone even had this question at that point, that how can they do like human sacrifice? It is not actually a human sacrifice, but rather actually it's as a child. Okay. Does that
Prabhu, your video and audio has paused a little bit.
Oh, good. Could you hear me before? I'm not sure.
Is there a question?
No, I was asking, do you all remember when I...
Yes. Yes,
did you
Prabhu.
all hear the references from chapter 7?
Yes, Prabhu.
So basically at that point, Shunishepa was given. He was brought by Rohita because Harishchandra had promised to give a child. So basically, Shunishepa, who was the son of Ajigrata, was brought, and Vishvamitra accepted him as practically his son, the elder son, who was like the eldest brother to his sons. So let's read next verse, 31. Yes, someone who has not yet read wants to read. Kirti Mataji, you want to read? Swati Mataji, you want to read?
I can read, Prabhu.
Yes, please.
Yo vai Harishchandra makhe vikrita purusha pashu stutva devam prajeshadin mumusche pasha bandhanat. Can you scroll them, Prabhu? Translation. Shunashpesha, father's soul, Shunashepa to be sacrificed as a man animal in the Yajna of King Harishchandra. When Shunashepa was brought into the sacrificial arena, he prayed to the demigod for release and was released by their mercy. Purport. Here is a description of Shunashepa when Harishchandra was to sacrifice his son Rohita. Rohita arranged to save his own life by purchasing Shunashepa from Shunashepa's father to be sacrificed in the Yajna. Shunashepa was sold was sold to Maharaja Harichandra because he was the middle son between the oldest and the youngest. It appears that sacrifice of man as an animal in Yajna has been practiced for very long time. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So, I think we just discussed this point, so that how Shunishepa was purchased by Rohita from Ajigrata. Rohita was originally to be offered, but then later he prayed to demigods, he was released. So, interesting story, but these are the previous yugas, and a special reason is there. So it's some things we can't understand with our own tiny intelligence. Something we just have to absorb and keep moving. Okay, Nandini Mataji, thank you for the wonderful class today, morning. I could certainly get a chance to hear, and I hope others also got a chance to hear. If you have not heard, the YouTube link is shared. Please, you can go and hear as per your comfort. The wonderful class by Mataji. Thank you. Yes, you want to read the next verse, Mataji?
Unless Swati Mataji or other Kirti Mataji are not ready yet,
Yeah,
I can read now. Yes, Mataji, go ahead. I get a chance every day.
Hare Krishna. Then we'll pray. Text 32. Yuratho deva yachane devargatashi sutapasaha devarata iti kyataha sunashe pastu bhargavaha. Translation by Śrīla Prabhupada, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Although Sunashepa was born in Bhargava dynasty, he was greatly advanced in spiritual life, and therefore the demigods involved in the sacrifice protected him. Consequently, he was also celebrated as the descendant of Gadi, named Devarata. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Quick question. Why was he celebrated as a descendant of Gadi? What's the answer? Raise your hand. Everyone knows? And the Mataji knows. Lakshay, you want to try?
Can you repeat the question again, Prabhuji?
Why was Shunishepa celebrated as a descendant of Gadi? Tough question. Prabir Prabhu wants to answer.
So most likely, Vishvamitra accepted him as the son, his own son, and ordered his other sons to accept him. Because Vishvamitra is the son of Gadi.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Yeah. So he was also very learned in this spiritual life, and he was trained by Vishvamitra Muni, who was from a great heritage, and his nickname of Shunishepa was
You mean Devarata?
Devarata. Yeah. And actually, in the story of Prahlad Maharaj, this is quoted as Shuni Chaiva Shapakecha Pandita Samadarshana. It's also, there's a other meaning here, like the dog's tail. The dog's tail is always bent, right? So Prahlad Maharaj is basically Hiranyakashipu is calling Prahlad at that point that your attachment to Krishna is like a dog's tail. No matter how hard someone's tried to mold you, change you this, but you won't change, right? So the point is, even if you tie the dog's tail to a rod, let's say, okay, the dog's tail is curved, and you tie it to a rod, okay, like this, bind it, and then you release it, it will again go curved. So that should be our attachment also to Krishna. I was just hearing about His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj and Prabhupada's conversation. Giriraj Maharaj was practicing Krishna consciousness and then very, very wealthy background. And then their parents came with a counselor that, our child has been brainwashed and this and whatnot. Why don't you? So the counselor had a 101 with Giriraj Maharaj and asked, so what is the goal of what are you trying to do? And then, all these general questions, and Maharaj answered one after the other from Bhagavad Gita. What are you trying to do? What is your goal? And all these, I don't remember the exact questions, but why don't you change and things like that? And Maharaj, for almost 45 minutes, kept preaching to the counselor or the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist said that he has been permanently spoiled or permanently transformed. And if I stay with him for 30 more minutes, I'll become a Hare Kṛṣṇa. And then Prabhupada was very happy. Prabhupada said, "Oh, did you hear what the psychiatrist said?" The psychiatrist said, "Our Giriraj has been permanently transformed." Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol. So the lesson there from this word, that no matter what situations may come, like Prahlad Maharaj's love for Krishna was naisargiki, natural or unshakable or undeviated. We can also learn great lessons there. I think Rama is eager to read about Paras'urâma. Want to read? He's busy. Nandini Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu, I'm always ready. Text 33. Ye madhu chandaso mijeshta kushalam menirena tat ashapat tan muni krutva vimlecha bhavata durjanaha. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. When requested by their father to accept Shunashepa as the eldest son, the elder 50 of the Madhuchandas, the sons of Vishvamitra, did not agree. Therefore, Vishvamitra, being angry, cursed them. May all of you bad sons become malichas, he said, being opposed to the principles of Vedic culture. Purport. In Vedic literature, there are names like Malicha and Yavana. The Malichas are understood to be those who do not follow the Vedic principles. In former days, the Malichas were fewer, and Vishvamitra Muni cursed his sons to become Malichas. But in the present age, Kali Yuga, there is no need of cursing, for people are automatically Malichas. This is only the beginning of Kali Yuga. But at the end of Kali Yuga, the entire population will consist of Malichas because no one will follow the Vedic principles. At that time, the incarnation of Kalki will appear. Malicha nivada nidhane kalayase karavalam. He will kill all the Malichas indiscriminately with his sword. So in this purport, Prabhupada is explaining that how Malichas are defined and Yavanas are defined, and one who does not obey his father's order, and in that Yuga, this is Treta Yuga, is definitely big violation of Vedic principles. And therefore, Vishvamitra, pointed out that you're behaving like Malichas, so he cursed them to be Malichas. And that's all I can think of. Please add, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Just thought to read this whole Dashavatara by Malicha Nivaha Vidhane Kalayasi Karabalam Dhumaketu Iva Kima Api Karalam Keshavadhrita Kalaki Sharira Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare. What to speak of Lord Kalki coming at the end of Kali Yuga? We read just yesterday only that as Paras'urâma came to kill the unbrahmanical people, those who were not following the Brahmanical culture, and Prabhupada mentioned in the purport that famines and pestilence, pandemic is actually an outcome of bad society. And bad means lack of Krishna conscious society. So therefore, because we are not following the order of the Father, right? The Father will be angry in a good way, right? The Father is angry upon the children in a good way. So, but when the child follows the order of the Father is happy and gives blessings and benedictions. Krishna, Mata, Krishna, Pita, Krishna, Dhanapran. Pitahamasya Jagato Mata Dhata Pitamaha. Bija Prada Pita. So many verses Krishna says, I am the seed giving Father. So if you don't follow the instructions of the Father, by following Krishna consciousness, Manmana Bhavad Bhakto, become a devotee, then the Father will be indirectly angry and in a good way for our benefit, because he knows that by not following that order, we will suffer. So he wants to help us to follow that order for our own happiness. So that's how we can link to our eternal Father on this pastime. Okay. Yes, Rama, Prabhu, we're ready now to read. 34.
Yes, brother. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada. Saho Vakha Madhuchanda Sadam Panchasta Tata Yano Bhavan Sanjate Tasmis Tistamaha Vayam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. When the elder Madhuchundans were cursed, the younger 50, along with Madhuchundan himself, approached their father and agreed to accept his proposal. Dear father, they said, we shall abide by whatever agreement we like. Arrangement you like. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Rama Prabhu. What arrangement do you follow? The elder 50 or the younger 50? Or when your father says something? What arrangement do you follow? Do you follow his instructions or you say no, I don't follow?
I follow his instructions the first time he says it.
First time, oh. Then you are like the younger 50, right? Then you are a Brahmana, you are not a Mlicha. Good job.
Thank you, Rama. That was so sweet. Please always come join us.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for.
Good. You are first class citizen. You are not a Mlicha. I am a Mlicha. So Madhuchanda and the rest 50 followed the instructions, like Rama follows the instructions of his father. And we shall abide. So we see that obedience is a very, very good quality to the parents, to the spiritual master. And they approached Panchashat Tata. Okay. So let's see what happens. Now it's 50-50. Maybe The word 50-50 comes from here only, I guess. So, who has not read Sampada? Mataji, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Text 35. Jestham manta drisam chakrastam anvancho vayam snahi Vishvamitra sutan aha viravanto bhavishyatha Hemanam me nukrinanto viravantam akartamam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Thus the younger Madhu Chandas accepted Sunasipha as her eldest brother and told him, "We shall follow your orders." Vishvamitra then said to his obedient sons, "Because you have accepted Sunasipha as your eldest brother, I am very satisfied. By accepting my order, you have made me a father of worthy sons, and therefore I bless all of you to become the fathers of sons also." Purport. After 100 sons have disobeyed Vishvamitra by not accepting Sunasipha as their eldest brother, but the other half accepted his order. Therefore, the father blessed the obedient sons to become the father of sons. Otherwise, they too would have been cursed to be sonless mlechas. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, back to you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So great lesson here. By abiding to the instructions of the seniors, parents, etc., of course, which is aligned. It doesn't mean that father says, "Get me a bottle of alcohol," and the son says, "Yes, sir, take your bottle of alcohol." Right? So that discretion has to be there. But when the father is worthy, or the guru is worthy, or enlightened, then when we follow their instructions or abide by their instructions, blessings naturally outpour. The sons didn't say, "Hey, father, we'll follow your instructions. Now you bless us." So the first 50 batch, by their actions, they got father's wrath or curse. The next 50, they were also the sons of the same father, but by their actions, they got father's blessings. So actions speak louder than words. Quite fit example here. So if we do things which will please the parents, which will please the father, the mother, the guru, the senior Vaishnavas, then one does not need to say, "Please bless me, please bless me, please bless me." The blessings will naturally outpour when we do things which will please them. Very simple. We want Prabhupada's blessings, we do things which will please Prabhupada. We want Guru's blessings, we do things which will please Guru. We want Krishna's blessings, we do things which will please Krishna. We want to get curse of Guru, we want to get curse of parents, we want to get curse of Krishna. We do things which are they would not like us to do. Very simple. Classic example here. The first batch did things which father did not want them to do, rather totally against the will of the father. And the next 50, they did things which were aligned with the instructions of the father, and they got very nice blessings. That I bless you to become fathers of the sons. May you all get worthy sons. So, quite nice lesson here and very practical. Any other comments anyone has in this text? Okay. Yes, Kirti Mataji, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, text 36. Eshava Kushika Viro Devarat Samanvitaha Anne Chashtaka Harita Jaya Krutu Madadayaha. Translation by C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vishvamitra said, O Kushikas, descendant of Kaushika, this Devarata is my son and is one of you. Please obey his order. O King Parikshit, Vishvamitra had many other sons such as Ashtaka, Harita, Jaya, and Kritaman. Back to you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So quite straightforward. Thank you, Mataji, for reading this. The dynasty of Kaushik. The descendants of Kaushika. Okay. So they were the rest 50 were willing to abide. So basically, now we gave the instruction that you must follow the instructions of Shunishepa or Devrata. Last verse of this chapter. Let's read and then we'll pause. Yes, Kashish Mataji, you want to complete?
Ji Prabhuji, thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Dandavat all devotees, all goodies to Srila Prabhupada. Text number 37. Evam Kaushika Gotram Tu Vishvamitre Prathak Vidham Pravarantaram Apannam Tadhi Chaivam Prakalpitam. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vishvamitra cursed some of his sons and blessed the others, and he also adopted a son. Thus, there were varieties in the Kaushik dynasty, but among all the sons, Devarata was considered the eldest. Purport. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 9th Canto, 16th chapter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam entitled Lord Paras'urâma Destroys the World's Ruling Class. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you so much. Back to you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So quite straightforward here. Vishvamitra, 50 sons were cursed, 50 were blessed, 50-50. And these are the descendants or dynasty of Kaushika. So who was Kaushika? The descendants of Kusha, right? So we read in the 12th chapter about the descendants of Kusha, right?
Yes,
from Lord Ram was Love and Kusha. From Kusha was continued. Okay, any comments before we pause?
Hey Krishna, Prabhuji, may I ask something, Prabhuji?
Yeah, if it's not so technical.
Well, Prabhuji, in this lesson we read that Vishvamitra was basically Kshatriya by birth, but Brahmin by sanskaras, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we see Vishvamitra, because his sons didn't follow him, he didn't hitch in killing his 50 sons. You know, it's something in the last
killing,
verses.
I think it didn't say killing. Did it say killing?
He
cursed them.
Destroyed, cursed them or destroyed them. Yeah, cursed them to be mlechas, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So maybe this was the reason that in that Vedic culture, the children were, and this taught the lesson of remaining 50 sons to, accept that the middle son, Sunashepa, as their brother. So that strictness of parents, maybe that is the reason that these days the children are not so abiding by the parents' instructions, because parents are, despite seeing that children are not obeying them or they know they are going in the wrong directions, but out of that attachment, they let them do it. That strictness is missing in the society, is it?
Well, we have to see in the contemporary situation at what age to be strict, at what age to become friend. This is given by Chanakya Pandit nicely. So yes, too much in the first 5 years is the time that a child cannot do wrong. First 5 years doesn't know what is fire, what is knife, what is ball, what is this. For him or her, everything is same. The first 5 years, only love, only care, only. One cannot shout on the child. One cannot say why you're doing this, because the child doesn't know anything. And it's gradual. It's not that 5 year day one and the dynamics change. It's like a point. Then is the time 5 to 15. Spare the rod, spoil the child. And that time discipline is essential. Yes, as you said, if the parents don't do it, don't spend the time, the energy, the care, then yes, the outcomes will be seen later. The outcomes will certainly be seen later, because after 13, 14, nowadays it's even earlier, I would say, 13, 14 years, the teenage begins, the hormones change, they want to explore, they want to be independent, and in that time, one has to be friend. That's what Chanakya Pandit says. And that time is a time we cannot be strict. If we be strict, they will do further wrong, right? So that time we need them to become, parents need to become close friends so they can share. Of course, that doesn't mean that at the 10 years they're not friends. They're always friends, but yes. So yes, you're absolutely correct. Some strictness is required at the right time, at the right age, with the right intentions. So I'm not sure if it'll be right to connect the two. Does this happen in the Treta Yuga? I'm not, But yes, the principle is important. When to be strict, when to be friendly, when to listen to them, when to be tough. It's important. And therefore, parenting is a big science, which I don't know. All of you know better than me, because all of your parents, some of your grandparents. So all of you know that better.
Ji Prabhuji, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Okay, any other comments on this topic? Okay, just to give a quick summary, a very high-level summary of chapter number 16. Lord Paras'urâma destroys the warrior class. So we discussed about how Lord Paras'urâma kills his own mother and brothers, right, when the father asked. And then Jamdagni was pleased. He was able to revive the mother and the brothers. No one remembered what had actually happened. And then finally Jamdagni's death. Yeah. Because Jamdagni gave it's a very nice lesson there. One should act very carefully and sagaciously, even though one could be Jamdagni. So basically he gave a tough punishment to his wife Renuka, who had done some mental adultery. Although she is described in the verses as Sati. So even Yamunacharya says, whenever I think of sex, I spit at that thought. So especially in this day and age, if one will be given punishment for mental bad things, it will be very difficult. But we discussed that. Watch your thoughts. Thoughts becomes actions. Watch your actions, because actions become habits. So we have to watch our thought. That doesn't mean we allow bad thoughts to harbor in our brain. We have to be careful. And be careful in our today when devotee shared a very nice video that we should take a pause before judging someone, pause before concluding someone that, hey, you are always like this, hey, you don't know this, hey, you accusing someone, judging someone. Pause, try to understand their side of the things. They may be going through a totally different thing which we have no idea about. I think I see things in my own perspective. I would share that video. It's a very nice video, small 1-minute video, but it gives a nice perspective that how we often overlook to see the other side of the things and just feel that why is this person not doing what I want him or her to do? But they are going through their own challenges, their own struggles. So actually, Jandagni's wife was very sincere, was very repentant, Kritanjali Mudra, and she did not really intend to harbor that thought, but somehow it came, and then she was apologetic about it. So this was the result. Jamdagni, because of his sudden judgment, he lost his life by the sons of Kartaviri Arjuna. Renuka cried, "Hi, Ram, 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 where are you, Ram?" And Ram came with his other brothers and took his Parshu and made a pool and rivers in Mahishmati. 21 times generations were killed of Kshatriyas. And he revived back his father. Father became one of the 7 stars. And then finally the story of Vishvamitra Muni. Paras'urâma went to Mount Mahendra. Vishvamitra Muni, 101 sons. Madhuchandas was the middle one. And then we just read about the ones who followed the instructions, accepted Shunishepa, the younger ones, and the elder ones did not. That's how we get the blessings or the wrath. Choices ours. Grantraj Bhagavatam Puran ki jai, Shri Paras'urâma Bhagwan ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vachapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Roji.
Hare Krishna.